and let us all do we can to build a better future. So on yesterday's show, we talked about David Axelrod. And apparently now he is going to discuss his tweet about Dr. Cornel West being a spoiler candidate. And of course, his fear of RFK Jr. could possibly run as a third-party candidate. So David Axelrod is kind of a douchebag. He's a scumbag of the highest order. David Axelrod, who again has a long political history, being a consultant. He was best known for being Barack Obama's chief strategist. And of course, he was on Obama's office of, he was a senior advisor to the president. So there we go. Just looking over the notes of who Mr. David Axelrod is. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Shout out to Case Study QB, who's wrongly being censored. So let's play this video up for all you lovely people, because apparently David Axelrod is afraid of both Dr. Cornel West and RFK Jr. Let's check it out.
Democratic side, a top party strategist is raising the alarm that Joe Biden's presidency may be at risk from a third party candidate. David Axelrod, former advisor to President Obama, joins me now. And David, as we watch, the chaos in the Republican field, right? Things try to settle there. You tweeted in 2016, the Green Party played an outsized role in tipping the election to Donald Trump. Now with Cornel West as their likely nominee, they could easily do it again. Risky business. David, your warning's getting a lot of attention. Do you think Biden recognizes how big of a problem Cornel West could be for him?
I have to assume that he does, but it isn't necessarily.
Biden doesn't even know where he's at half the time. David, buddy, listen. All this talk about Biden knowing where he's at, that's not the case, man.
Necessarily up to him. It's up to party leaders across the board, progressive leaders in particular, because the great threat from Cornel West on the Green Party line is that he'll attract some progressive voters on that line away from Biden. And look, Aaron, you look at some of the states last time that tipped the election, Arizona was won by 11,000 votes, Wisconsin by about 20,000 votes. Doesn't take much to tip an election.
Well, gee, maybe if Biden, I don't know, followed through with his promises, you wouldn't be crapping your pants right now. But Biden didn't follow through with his promises. Biden abandoned the progressive movement. Bernie Sanders and AOC said he was exceeding expectations. All the while, those two jagoffs weren't fighting for us. So, gee, David, maybe if Biden was consistent and actually cared about the average American citizen, you wouldn't be on CNN, the sinking ship of corporate media, complaining to people about a third-party candidate or an RFK Jr. campaign.
And so this should be a concern, as should the No Labels Party, which I think has the capacity to also hurt Biden. Biden's strategy relies on, don't judge me against the Almighty, judge me against, my opponent. Well, if you have a third alternative, though there are people who may have reservations about Trump and Biden, but would vote for Biden, who are going to leap over to third-party options. So the third parties could be really problematical for him.
So in all of this, let me ask you about RFK Jr. Anti-vax.
So again, they're going to call him anti-vaxxer. They're going to do that just to smear him. That's all what they got.
Vaccine and other conspiracies are things that he obviously has put out there. He's challenging Biden in the Democratic primary. And as you and I know, at least at this point, he's been consistently polling around 20%, which obviously, wouldn't be enough to make him the party nominee. But I wonder, David, whether you think it's possible that he also might choose to move forward to challenge Biden as a third party candidate.
Now, I want to explain to all of you what's being presented here. What they're trying to do is trigger vote blue no matter who voters, liberals who suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, into thinking that RFK Jr. is going to start a third-party run. Now, to be very clear here, in previous interviews and in previous stories that we covered, RFK Jr. has stated, much to the chagrin of myself, because I don't support Democrats and I will not vote Democrat ever. He has stated that he is a Democrat and he wants to reclaim his party. Okay, fine. He has said that. He has been consistent in saying that. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because in 2020, corporate media across the board kept on smearing Tulsi Gabbard in saying that she was going to run a third-party candidacy and that she could also maybe run with the Trump presidency. So all these attacks that we're seeing towards RFK Jr. is exactly what they did to Tulsi Gabbard. They kept on smearing her, calling her an Assad puppet, a Putin puppet, all of these things, hoping it could stick. And they relentlessly smeared Tulsi Gabbard. And now they're doing the same thing to RFK Jr., calling him anti-vaxxer and then saying, oh, if he doesn't win the primary, he's going to run third party. Well, okay, that's a pretty bold statement, but to which, as I've said in 2020, when all the media outlets were smearing Tulsi Gabbard, where's the proof? Where's the evidence? You're just talking out of your wazoo. You're not making any sense whatsoever. But here, enjoy the fear tactics. Enjoy how Vote Blue No Matter Who still tries their same tactics and smearing individuals that don't fall in line with the neoliberal narrative.
Candidate if, he's not successful at being the Democratic one.
So here, we're going to stop here and we'll pull up the next video here. I just want to just show you all, again, this is what they're going to be trying to do towards all the candidates. They're going to try and make them as the reason that Biden could potentially lose. And look, I can't help it if Biden's polling numbers are in the sewers. He did that to himself. Him, not me, not RFK Jr., not Dr. Cornel West, not Libertarian voters, not Green Party voters, not socialists, not Democratic voters or Republican voters. The Biden-Harris administration, the reason why they are viewed with disdain and hatred by many people is because this administration has been mediocre and lackluster.
Well, I'll tell you this, Aaron, he's getting more of a following as he speaks among some on the right than the left. He's been championed by Tucker Carlson and others for his conspiracy theories, for his attacks on Biden for supporting Ukraine and so on. So there are people out there who might want to help the Republican nominee, particularly if it's Donald Trump, who have an impetus to encourage him. That said, that is easier said than done. There are a lot of barriers to getting on the ballot as an independent or.
Yeah, there are a lot of barriers. I know. I cover them. There's a lot of roadblocks preventing Americans from actually choosing somebody that represents their values. 50% of American voters identify themselves as independents. So tough luck, Republican voters and Democratic voters, because many Americans want to break away from the two-party system. And unfortunately, because there are many laws at the state level and federal level that prohibit third-party candidates from being on the ballot or being on the debate stage, this has also caused many Americans to be burnt out by electoral politics. On yesterday's show, I was interviewing Larry Sharp about, again, the fact that there are voters who have turned themselves off and walked away from electoral politics. And a reasonable argument can be made that electoral politics are worthless, because of people like David Axelrod, who promote the system as everything's fine. Everything's A-okay. You just got to vote harder. Well, unfortunately, Vote Blue No Matter Who, it's no longer 2016. And people have seen firsthand what happens when, I don't know, the attacks towards free thinkers intensifies and everyone's told to fall in line. The only reason why Biden actually made it to the presidency and won was because many people were guilted into voting for Biden. Many people assumed that, okay, if we hold his feet to the fire, maybe he'll help out. Maybe a lot of people were truly afraid of a second Trump presidency. But guess what? Trump's running again in 2024. So he hasn't been impeached. He's not going to jail. He's not going anywhere. And because of this, we're going to probably see a repeat of Biden versus Trump. So two old men fighting over a cold bowl of soup. What I want to know is, when are a lot of these Vote Blue No Matter Who people finally going to realize that because of this repeat of Biden versus Trump, Republican versus Democrat, when are they going to realize that many Americans don't like this? Many Americans don't like that option of choosing the Republicans and the Democrats, which is why many are identifying themselves as independents. And in that group, many people are choosing not to be involved in electoral politics. Good luck in convincing people to vote for Biden again, because the fear tactics don't work. That's all you have. Trump, 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 Trump. Or, oh no, we got this fringe candidate who's running. And now if he doesn't win the primary, he'll run as a third-party candidate. Show me the proof and evidence before you start talking out of the wazoo, David.
For a third-party candidate. So I think that's less of a concern than the Green Party fielding Cornel West. Biden's great vulnerability is among the younger voters
which he abandoned. So young people who voted for Democrats in 2022, I get it. I understand why you did. There was the promise of student debt forgiveness. I don't want to be that person to say that, hey, I told you so, it wasn't going to happen. But there was no way Biden was ever going to follow through with that promise. And I am so sorry. I wanted to see people get $20,000 of student debt forgiveness happen to them. I wanted to see that happen. But after covering politics for so long, and sometimes like just even doing this really tears apart my soul, I saw the writing on the wall. The Democrats were never, ever going to help out students who are struggling with student debt.
who tend to be more progressive. And you could see where a West candidacy on the Green Party line could be attractive to some of these younger voters who are disillusioned that everything on the progressive agenda hasn't been achieved in the first Biden term. So this is something to be monitored.
Something to be monitored. Yeah. You know what else needs to be monitored, David? The fact that so many vote blue, no matter who people, all those who are professional managerial class. How are you going to handle the fact that people are no longer listening to you or viewing you as relevant individuals to be dictating policy and politics? There's a reason why voters don't trust the institutions anymore. There's a reason why American citizens don't even trust corporate media anymore. Because you keep on regurgitating the same BS that's kept us in the dark for years. And many people now are aware of these tactics. So already, if you are a Green Party supporter or Libertarian supporter or hell, RFK Jr. supporter, get ready for the smears and the attacks. Get ready for individuals who have the coveted blue check mark, who dictate to you that, oh, you should be censored, or you shouldn't listen to this person, or how dare you even think about voting independent? How dare you think about trying to make a difference? See, the problem is that individuals like David Axelrod, the vote blue no matter who, the professional managerial class, the neoliberal establishment corporate media, the problem is that they still cling to the past and assume that everyone is going to hold on to their values. But let's look at their values. It's milquetoast. It's mediocre. Their values offer nothing substantial to improve the lives of the American people. It's all piecemeal, pragmatic. Just enjoy the crumbs and be thankful that we're in charge. See, the Democrats have put on this wonderful mask that has convinced voters that they care about the issues. They don't. All what Democrats care about, the corporate Democrats and their cheerleaders in corporate media, all what they care about is the dollars, fear, and fundraising. That's all what the Democratic establishment is going to care for. So they're going to try and bully you into not supporting RFK Jr. They're going to try and bully you in telling you that, oh, don't you dare vote Green Party. Don't you dare vote Libertarian. Well, let's ask ourselves, have our lives improved under the Biden-Harris administration? And let's have democracy in the chat. Please don't hold anything back. Type 1 if you think, oh, Kit, my life has improved greatly under the Biden-Harris administration. I'm so glad that the orange Cheeto is gone. Type 2, no, everything has gotten progressively worse. It doesn't matter who sits in the White House. Everything's getting worse, and no one's fighting for us. I wonder how democracy will play out in the chat. But as a final note, don't let these jagoffs on social media tell you that somebody's a spoiler candidate or that they're a threat to the election of an incumbent who doesn't even know where he's at half the time. Hard Lens Media is going to continue covering this election cycle, And you better believe it that, yes, we will be at the DNC convention here in Chicago in 2024. Stay tuned as we cover that event.